Hello and welcome to this CNBC Africa Special Report. My name is Mugisha. You can follow this conversation on Twitter at CNBC Africa, or my personal handle, Mugisha. And we today are talking about growing Rwanda's economy, of course, with the use of technology. Today on the panel, we're speaking to the CEO of AC Group, Patrick Buchana, and just next to him is Mami Ingabire, the Managing Director of Caris Unmanned Aerial Solutions. She'll be also talking about the drones that they have and what they have to offer. And lastly, we have Benjamin Karenzi. He is the Regional Director for Robotico Africa. Now, we will look at some of the solutions that are currently in Rwanda's economy, but how are we disrupting and also leapfrogging service delivery? This is CNBC Africa Special Report. Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much for getting time to speak to us. I think if you may allow me to start with the lady in the middle. She has something rather very interesting. Again, drone technology, some of the things that we've seen growing at least in the past 5 years. I think the first time I spoke to someone from your company, Teddy, a licensed pilot, was about 3 years ago at Transform Africa Summit, and we were looking at how mapping out lands and looking at agriculture, also tying in that it's the backbone of Rwanda's economy. What is the latest on your portfolio? We
providing rapid high quality aerial imagery in various industries, and basically in mostly in agriculture, construction, mining, and energy. We just started energy, and it's very interesting to see how drone technology is really disrupting how things are being done, providing better services faster and cost effective. And in agriculture, we provide advisory services to farmers. We are able to map their plots in a very quick way, and we are able also to tell them the status of their crops. So instead of just spraying or applying fertilizer everywhere, they're able to know exactly where they have to apply fertilizer, and that you are saving money.
So do you think perhaps when you use drone technology as you're doing and seeing the pests and also control,
yes,
maybe banks can bet on this and start giving out more credit to farmers?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because there will be, at the end, there will be a high production, higher yield, and they will be able to provide, because the kind of things also we do is providing them all the documents that they are able to get credit from the bank.
Right.
Something that shows the bank that they are creditable, that they can receive credit from them, and showing the status of the crop, and showing that at the end of the cycle of the crop cycle, they are going to have this amount of production. That is something that is very key, very important in terms of information.
Patrick, we've been on it for a minute now, talking about smart cities, looking at smart transport systems. AC Group brought about the tap and go system. Currently, we were talking about the tap and go Wi-Fi in the buses. Now you're talking about something different, and that has to do with mobile payments. Please give me an overall look into that.
As cities get smarter, more and more people are getting mobile phones, smartphones to be particular. But when you look at smartphone penetration, in Rwanda it's close to between 60 and 70%. Markets like Kenya, it goes all the way above 80%, and a few more markets. So as we expand all through the continent, we had to look at ways of upgrading and enabling smartphone payments. And so we're launching smartphone app, and all intercity transport will be run on smartphone payments without necessarily using a card. But that is one of the products. I wouldn't say it's a new product because it's enhancing what already existed. But our newest product is it's a subsidiary of ours called Autogas. Autogas is converting buses from fuel and diesel to LPG gas. So with this, we serve them in terms of consumption almost 30 to 40%. But this also reduces the emissions out of the bus by almost 50%.
What's the risk that comes with LPG? Because we've quite learned in the past that they're not, very stable. So
I think LPG as a gas is equally as risky as
gas
fuel. So the substance inside the container is not the one that's supposed to be the determinant of how risky the solution is.
Right.
Rather, it's the container and how easy is it to spread.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. A car with LPG, when it has an accident, the valve of the tank closes immediately. The chances of a fire when a car that's LPG run versus a car that's fuel run, the chances of getting a fire are almost 90% on the fuel vehicle than the LPG tank vehicle. So in terms of security, it is actually more secure than the fuel vehicles, but it brings many other benefits as well.
Right. Let me go to Benjamin. Benjamin, just about a few weeks ago, maybe a month, we learned about Marty the robot. And it's not something that has been, around in the market for quite a moment, but as we talk about, technological advancements that are happening in almost every spectrum, really, if you think about it, we're seeing so many things happening at the same time. We now just, witnessed artificial intelligence at its best. How does this work, and in which ways are the Rwandan households stand to benefit from, the likes of Marty, the robots and robotics?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, with the Marty the robot, which is a new tool that we are introducing into our education system,
right.
It's the robot that we are trying to scale up in different schools. My colleagues have spoke about the different technologies they are applying into the industry. And I believe that they need quality graduates with skills that can respond to their needs in terms of delivering what the various services they provide. With Marty the robot, it's a solution that is suitable to stimulate interest of students within STEM, coding, artificial intelligence, and robotics as well. So these we are aiming at enhancing the quality of education so that in the near future, and our target at Robotico is to target primary schools. Yeah, the robot can be used for secondary and the university as well, but we need to create that sustainability of students that, and Marty the robot, like I said, it comes with a bundle of lesson packs which are designed for different age groups. And this is a rich online web that teachers and students can access as a research engine. And the other thing is that with Marty, the robot, students within the computer app having Marty next to the computer, then there are more activities to do, there are more lessons to learn and examples which enhances their mathematics applied and so forth.
So you mean that if I had Marty the robot, it could be programmable to do what I want Marty to do?
Absolutely.
But then the question comes now, how many are they right now, and how can we see them? If you're talking about education, right? Most of the times we tend to look at those that are closer to the solutions that we're giving. But if it's about Rwanda and the move towards a digital economy and also a knowledge-based economy, then it shouldn't only be in the city centers. So is this something that you see, replicating all around in the education system in the country?
Yes, Marty's guide is to promote computational thinking, and this is problem solving. And our target is going to be not focused in urban areas. We are going to rural areas as well, because that's where there's a gap. There are some challenges and problems that we need to train, to educate our students to be able to respond to the problems around their communities. And I would give you an example of students already who are trying to think of redesigning Marty into a bigger robot, into a robot that can tell stories and so forth. So there will be a lot, and we are scaling it up to rural areas. Our next phase will be working with the Rwanda Education Board to see which schools that we can introduce Marty into. You know about the smart classrooms,
right.
and that's what Marty the robot is designed on the English curriculum, because this is it originates from Scotland. But now our curriculum, when you look into our curriculum, it has Scratch programming for primary and lower secondary. And it also, in our curriculum, we have C++ in upper secondary, and the rest of all the programming languages like the robot operating systems and Java in the university. So this Marty the robot, students can use all those programming languages to control it. So we want it embedded within our curriculum as a tool for students to see the output, and also for the teachers to have more activities that are engaging and that which makes learning STEM subjects a fun activity.
Maybe coming back to Patrick just a little bit. Patrick, you've had something going on for quite a minute there, and it has to do with expanding outside of the Kigali city. I know you've been working with big data as well, collecting data on bus fleet and all of that. But how far are you with the conversation of expanding out of the city center? Because just like I posed this to Benjamin, these solutions are good, but they tend to only be around us where we can reach. Perhaps more people need them.
Sure. As I've said, we've deployed in Kigali for some time now. Over 2 million people have the Tap and Go card. We are starting in intercity transport at the beginning of June. So we'll of course start with one particular province and then scale up real quick. In about 4 to 5 months, we should have the whole country covered. And this is the same model that we're looking at deploying all across the countries that will be starting Tap and Go. So you start with the city because you always need the early adopters, and that is people who have had a certain level of interaction with technology, which is usually centered around cities, and then slowly that expands out of to the other remote cities of the country.
There was Cameroon. There is Kigali. Do you see yourself moving outside of just Kigali, maybe to Nairobi, to Kampala, Dar es Salaam, and close?
Yes, so we have a launch on the 10th of June. So I'll keep that a secret until...
you don't want to tell us where?
Yes.
Oh,
so,
come on, Patrick.
You'll have to just wait for the launch, but it's a very big economy and very exciting. We've been there for some time. It's almost been close to 11 months, and we think the time will be right at the launch, and we'll definitely make sure that you get to know.
Right. Mami, talk to me about regulations and trainings, because we also understand that the drone technology that you're talking about today with Caris is, as interesting as they come. Because if we're talking about agriculture sector and what it really deals with on the daily basis, there should be even more drone operators. But on the other side, it's very less of them. The facilities, to train pilots are not necessarily there. And if we're pretty much looking at, the kind of growth that Rwanda is driving at the particular moment, this is something that needs to be given a lot of attention. So, do you think there is something that needs to be done about the regulations? Maybe with Rwanda Utility Regulatory Authority could step in and make it more easy to do that. And also, what about the trainings?
I will really say that when it comes to drone technology, being a drone operator here in Rwanda, and not only in Rwanda, we have been operating already in different countries already. there's a lot of security issues around it,
right.
And which I think drone regulation is very important. And being able to understand regulations as a drone operator is one key factor. So one of the things we're able to do is really understanding anything about drone, not just flying drone, because like I said, there's so many things around it, making sure that you have qualified people, pilots, and then all the equipments that you are using are actually going to provide this type of the type of data you want. So Rwanda, I believe, as we most know, that is really at the forefront in terms of having the regulation in place. We are very good. We are working with the Rwanda Civil Aviation very well in terms of fulfilling the requirements. So as a company, we wanted to understand what are the regulations that we have in the country. And I believe everyone that wants to join in this industry, we have to understand the regulation in place and what can we do to fulfill those requirements. So we had to work hard to fulfill all the requirements given to us to be able to operate in the country safely, because safety is first. And then when it comes to, definitely, every drone that comes in the country has to be registered. So you have to understand what you need for it to be registered. And then all our drone pilots are certified. So we have to ensure that they are certified for them to be able to operate. And in terms of trainings, I think that is something that the government is looking into, and definitely I'm sure that in the near future we'll definitely have a training center in terms of having a training center in Rwanda.
But the kind of investment that goes into that,
yeah.
Where do you think it would come from? The government, the private sector? Is there even some sort of, a conversation around having, that kind of facility? Or is it something that you, as someone that is active in this industry, feel like there is need for it?
So one of the things that we are looking into is to start a drone, to have a training center. But definitely it's something that we are working on, looking at it, and at best time we'll definitely come up with, we can more talk about it, because this is still around discussions.
Right.
Yeah.
Allow me to say that we're coming to the end of this session, but feel free to ask anyone a question if you feel like you have one and something that you didn't understand. But coming back to Benjamin, we're talking about, the Internet of Things. We're talking about robotics, AI, blockchain, and all of this. And just like I mentioned to her, it is something that requires quite a number of things, and huge investment being one of them. With Rwanda's, aggressive investment in, technology, also becoming East Africa's ICT hub, do you think this is something that is going to pay up in at least a foreseeable future, something that is rather tangible? Because you, for one, are dealing with robotics. So do you see this paying off, and how?
Yes, it will pay off. One thing that I could also mention to build up on how it's going to pay off is that at Lobotico, we're now into discussions to set up a production plant here, which will make Marty the robot more affordable. And though the building, we are already doing the building of the robot, the assembling. We bring the robots in parts and we assemble them here, which is also part of the lesson that we give to the students. But now, once we start making some of the parts of the robots here, then it will also add value to the manufacturing chain, to the supply chain of the industry. And also, our main target is to educate. I want to believe that Patrick and Mami will be happy to hire students who have already been exposed to such a solutions, where they will not be afraid of seeing a flying drone, or not afraid of using a smartphone to pay for their transport fares and so forth. And also to enhance on what he's talking about of the liquefied petroleum and all that. So we are training, and this is also in line with what the government of Rwanda is doing. They introduced the competence-based curriculum. And to achieve the competence-based curriculum, we need such a solutions in the classroom. And that's where we see ourselves, and that's how we think we'll be contributing to the education sector.
Right. Lady and gentlemen, I think we've come to the end of this, but before we go, we would like to take closing remarks from yourselves. Patrick, from where you stand, how do you see AC Group contributing to Rwanda's economic growth? And Mami, from where you stand, how does it contribute again to Rwanda's economic growth? And Benjamin, and we'll wrap it from there.
Sure. Thanks, Mike, and thanks for having us as well. So we contribute in various areas. The first is the fact that we introduced a tap-and-go solution. It helped recover almost 25% of the revenue that was lost. That means these businesses become sustainable, they can buy more buses. But the data that we collect and the analytics that we're doing also helps with planning. It helps the government to plan, and we're now going through a phase where we're going to have transport 2.0, public transport 2.0, and this is entirely based on the data that has been collected, analyzed, and now is being put into action with the transport 2.0. But also, we are now working with these companies to be able to acquire new buses on some kind of on a lease kind of period, because we can guarantee that the collection will be paid to whatever company is facilitating with the buses, because a bus is a very expensive asset, and as the city grows, it requires more and more investment. But if you have someone that can stand surety for you because they collect your money, then it becomes easier to acquire these assets and develop a public transport sector. So in a nutshell, where we want to get to is have an efficient, scheduled public transport system, which I think next year is the time.
Right.
Thank you very much, Mike, for having us. For Caris, we are contributing as well because I believe everyone acts based on the type of data he has. So we are contributing in various industries in increasing their productivity. So like in agriculture, that is food security, we see. And we see that through this drone technology, we are contributing in achieving SDGs. Also, there's one thing about the youth. We are training more youth, providing more, empowering more youth, providing job creation for youth. And this is something that we see that is really contributing to the economy of the country. And also, apart from that, we have all these various industries, like I said, mining and energy, where we really reduce human risk in terms of power line inspections. We are using drones now in power line inspections. This is something that, I mean, we could see the excitement in all these various industries where we are contributing. They say that we are providing this data very quick, right, and there's less human risk in what we do, and then it's cost effective.
And how does that move now from the artisanal kind of mining and also coming close to the targets that we have in the mining industry?
Yeah, for example, there are so many, like in the mining industry, knowing your mining site, right, being able to manage your mining site, this is one of the key things, and that helps you to improve in your productivity. One of the things as well, there's your waste as a mining site. That enables you to estimate the value or the volume of your waste, right, and estimate the minerals that you have inside. Right. With the type of aerial mapping that we do with the special sensors, you are able to quantify the volume that you have, and that helps the miners to know exactly what they have. And this is something that is really destructive.
I feel like Patrick wanted to ask you a question on if you just look over the ground or how deep you go, but he just kept looking at you, so I rather voice it.
Like I said, the drones carry sensors, right, and those sensors can go deep down, awesome, and those sensors can cover a larger area in a very short time. For example, now we have just finished doing mapping of all the wetlands in Kigali. This is something they didn't have like maps, updated maps. We're able to do that in a space of 2 months, very short time. And if they had to do it using traditional method, it could have taken them even a year to do that.
One year?
I think even more than that. Right. So we were able to map, and they were able to know people who are living within the wetlands,
Right.
and the maps are very high resolutions, like up to 1.7 centimeter per pixel.
Right.
This is something that you cannot get using normal methods.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's really quite interesting.
Benjamin, you're the last man.
Yes, I would like to build on a piece I read in TNT when the World Bank Group CEO visited Rwanda and there was a launch of a report about what Rwanda need to do to achieve the 2030-2050 goals. She said that we need to fix the problem in the classroom. And we are happy that with Marty the robot, it's an innovative and transformative way of how STEM and ICT lessons are delivered in the classroom. It's very affordable and it
How
gives...
affordable?
It's affordable in terms of now at the retail price, we are selling it at 285,000 francs. But the price is not an issue. Like I told you, we're putting up several efforts to have Marty parts made here in Rwanda. Yeah. So that's the price is a negotiable depending on, and we have education parks and all that. So that the price is a negotiable matter that we can talk about. So we encourage schools to be part of this, and we are very thankful to the Ministry of ICT that has been enabling us to reach out to many schools as possible.
Right. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Mami. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Mike, for having us.
Right. Thanks to the awesome panelists here for joining us and also speaking about how technology is going to grow Rwanda's economy. Now, we're looking at it from all sorts of innovations that are happening. And of course, we've seen how the transport system, the transport industry is changing with AC Group's tap and go payment systems and also big data collection for the fleet and making buses more sustainable. We've looked at the agriculture sector, which is currently employing about 80% of the Rwandans, looking with drone technology, mapping out and pest control. Very interesting conversation there from Mami of Caris and Man Aerial Solutions. And finally, education system with Marty the robot. How can we grow a competent best system and see that the young people that we churn out of the education system from college, high schools can be very conversant with all of this technology that are coming up at this age. You've been watching CNBC Africa Special Report with me, Michael Mugisha. Remember, you can follow this conversation on Twitter at CNBC Africa, my personal handle, Michael Mugisha. Allow me and the team from East Africa to live it right here.